Bro, there's a double rainbow out here.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another vlog slash day in my life slash if you didn't see my last video, you're probably super surprised right now because I am in fact pregnant. So surprise! This video is actually kind of a part two. Well, it is a part two because my last video, I was so sick, I couldn't even finish editing it, but it was a long video by itself. So I just decided to put it up. So if you want to go see part one, I will link it down below. This is everything else I have been up to so far in my pregnancy, how things have been going. With all of that being said, let's hop right in. We decided to make tortillas on this day because we knew we wanted to make shrimp tacos that night. And shrimp tacos are like a new addition to my life. I mean, we're talking within like the last year, maybe 6 months to a year. And I just think that it's really awesome. It's like another taco option and I really enjoy them, especially now that I've learned some hacks around cooking shrimp, and tacos at home in general went up on like our favorites list when we started making our own tortillas. So for us, it's not that it's like a non-negotiable because we will buy, I really like the Siete tortillas, both the soft tortillas and their crunchy tortillas, but I'd say 95% of the time now we're just making our own tortillas because it's not that difficult. You know what's in it, assuming that the masa people are telling you the truth, and that's what it is. You know what's in it, and you know you're making it, and it's so tasty. Like the taste alone is almost worth it for us. So we were making tortillas on this day, and we like to make more than we will need now because it's not that it's like a huge pain in the butt to make tortillas, but it's also not nothing. So when we make them, we try to make more than we will be needing that night so that we can freeze the rest in a Ziploc baggie. I pretty much always just store my tortillas in a kitchen towel like that. And I had the shrimp out of the freezer to thaw. And so I put it in a little, what are these called again? Colander, strainer over a bowl so that as they were thawing, like the liquid would just drip out. And so I let that sit there. By the way, how cute is that bowl? I got it at an estate sale and I just think it's really cute. That's all. So I had some fresh peppers from local farm stands. That's one of the many things I love about this area is we have like a lot of local farm stands in the summer and the fall, and people just sell all kinds of things like their baked goods, their stuff from their garden, their flowers, you know, tomatoes, pumpkins, I guess squash, I don't know. So it's really fun. And anyways, we had that pepper. And so I chopped it up, and then I chopped up the onion as well because I was going to stir fry this with the shrimp. So my mom grew this cabbage in her garden and I had a little bit left in the fridge. And so I decided to make a crunchy, tasty, limey slaw for the top of my shrimp tacos because that's just, you know, the best on shrimp tacos. So cut that up. I'm pretty much always looking for reasons to use pickled jalapenos in food. You guys will see when eventually one day my cookbook comes out, which is totally on pause right now because of how sick I've been. But you will see I tend to reach for pickled jalapenos or like the pickled jalapeno juice as like a just secret special oomph in things. So yeah. So once my shrimp had thawed, I chopped it up into little bite-sized pieces. I didn't want the whole shrimp, like just as is. Then I tossed in my seasoning, which I mix up all the time. I think on this night, I might have just used leftover taco seasoning. I don't even really remember because I mix it up so much. So some nights I have like a chili lime seasoning that I'll mix with like some garlic, and that's kind of it. And I'll do like some kind of acid, like a lemon or a lime. But honestly, just going on Pinterest and looking up shrimp taco recipes or YouTube, you get a wide variety of people's like opinions on how to make shrimp tacos. And so I just kind of like mix it up to experiment with different flavor combos and see if we can ever remember which one we liked the most. So as you can see, I threw my peppers in, my onions, and then I had chopped up a tomato from our garden. And then the shrimp, which had been sitting in the seasoning, got thrown in as well. Cooked that up just for a short period of time. You don't want to overcook your shrimp. That's one of the little shrimpy tricks that I learned. And then near the end, I threw in some butter just to add a little bit of like, I don't know, saucy, buttery goodness. And then I added in some salt. So I believe on this night we had partially fried our tortilla shells, which is one of my favorite ways to do it. And then I put it in my little taco stand with my slaw on top. And while the thought of eating that right now makes my stomach turn, I do remember it being extremely delicious. So now we're going to move on to a blueberry galette that I made. So we had picked a bunch of blueberries from our local farm. I honestly wish we had picked like triple. It's really interesting. I'm still learning this whole like rhythm of the seasons, and I'm realizing there's a lot of things. It's like, okay, you got to just do it while you have it. And that means like when I'm picking, I should probably be picking way more because you can freeze them. And it just seemed like there were not as many like farm options this year. I don't know. Anyways, I did the blueberries, I did the lemon zest and some lemon juice, and then I tossed my bowl of stuff together with some sugar as well. Then I added in a little bit of flour to help thicken the mixture. I probably could have added more, honestly. So at this point, I actually had a leftover frozen pie crust. So I had pulled it out of the freezer that morning and put it in the fridge, but it was still pretty hard and cold. And I don't find, like the way that I like to make pie crust, I don't find it particularly easy to make or easy to work with. I mean, it's fine. I'm being a bit of a baby. It just like actually takes an effort to keep it all together. But I will tell you that this pie crust is like so good. I've been experimenting with different pie crusts over the last couple of years since I've gotten into making pies. And this one is a sourdough pie crust, and the way that the butter stays separated from the flour makes it, yes, difficult to work with, like I said, but it also makes the texture so divine and flaky. And so it took me a while to like get this spread apart without having it fall apart, but it was beautiful. And you can even see as I'm rolling it, like all those thick chunks of butter. Absolutely amazing. So at this point, I transferred it to a pan with some parchment paper, and I just kind of kept trying to smooth down any edges. Anywhere I saw cracks, I tried to bring in some of the, oil from the butter to get it to smooth in. And then I poured my blueberry mixture down. Now, I don't know. I really want to make like way more galettes next year because I didn't really get around to experimenting at all other than this blueberry galette. And I've made a blueberry galette before, but you can make galettes out of like any fruit and anything really. I think savory galettes are so good. I actually have a savory galette recipe in my one day released cookbook that is so good. But yeah, okay, question. Do you guys make baking goals each season? Because as I'm living like a seasonal life, I'm starting to realize I need to make more bucket list goals for the seasons, but part of what needs to be in those buckets is baking, especially like the obvious times, right? Like fall and winter. Yeah, so I'm already starting to think about different types of things that I wanted to make last year and didn't get to make last fall or winter. One of the really basic ones being sourdough cinnamon rolls with the cream cheese frosting. Like that has to happen, Lord, please. Anyways, as you can see, I put an egg wash around my galette crust and then I sprinkled some sugar on top and then I baked it in the oven and oh my gosh, it may not be the most beautiful thing in the world, but it was one of the most delicious and you can maybe tell by looking at it. Like I had it with some ice cream and wow, that's what I have to say to that. And then I had to get this shot because Logan always wants to join Dan on like every project he's working on. And whenever I see him being his little shadow, I just think it's really cute. Another thing I had to throw out there is at the beginning of my pregnancy, before I started getting really sick, oh, this is the farm stand I was talking about, by the way, near my house. I was really craving a couple of things. One being tomatoes. So I had like tomato sandwiches multiple days in a row and it was like so satisfying. And then, I'm like nauseous as I'm saying it though. Breathe, Nikki. And then here, the other thing was this soup recipe that I basically got from Tegan at Half Baked Harvest. I alter it a little bit and then always end up experimenting because don't we all / that's just what I do with recipes. But this idea, this whole thing came from, I believe, her most recent cookbook. It's really good. And it's a chipotle corn chowder. I can't touch it right now, but for about a week or so, I had it like multiple nights in a row for dinner. And it was so delicious, especially because I was able to get my peppers all locally and my corn from like the little local farm stands. So it was just so, like when I was into this was so satisfying and it really hit the spot, people. And then on top, I did a little bit of feta, some bacon, and avocado, as you can see. And yeah, it was really good. So on this day, we decided to do an activity that we have been procrastinating doing for like the last 2 months. And that was taking our first attempt at preserving our eggs. So our ladies laid a lot of eggs this year. Like, I kind of feel like they laid way more than either of us were expecting. And we kind of were freaking out a little bit because we were giving eggs to my parents. And the thing is, though, we wanted these eggs to be able to be preserved, but just with life and like, I don't know, only taking on so many projects at once. I don't know if you guys ever get this way, even over small things. Sometimes you're just like, my head's not around it yet. And so even though I know there's lots of ways for preserving eggs and I'm going to keep looking into them, one that really interests me is like freeze drying. This seemed like the most user-friendly, immediate way for us to get on the preserving game. So we basically did 2 eggs per bag and we would completely whisk the eggs and then pour them in the bag. And then those bags are going to be stacked inside of a bigger like Ziploc gallon bag, and we'll take them out and use them as we please. Now, we did the float test on all of these beforehand, and that is not like, that doesn't make it a 100% guarantee, but you're pretty likely that the egg is good if it passes that. And yeah, this honestly took us like probably 45 minutes to an hour. I don't know, maybe longer. And Logan was actually helpful, which it was really cute, because I don't know if it's an age thing or because he's a boy, just like life development, whatever. But I feel like for our dynamics, he's really only been able to do things in his life recently that are like, or that he's really only been able to do things that have been like actually helpful recently in his life. And this was one of them, where like he really did help speed the process up. Like he was an added third person for the egg processing game. So we'll see how this works. From everything I've seen online, people were really positive about it. They said that when you just take it out of the freezer to thaw, supposedly like in the fridge, and then it'll look just like this, like a liquid, and then you use it for either baking or scrambled eggs or an omelet. And everybody said that like it saved and preserved fine. So I'll have to let you know if that is true or not in the middle of winter, if and when we're pulling these out of the freezer. Which I am a little bit nervous about winter, but I'm trying to remember, no, you are in fall right now. Like, don't get carried away. Don't jump ahead. But yeah, man, this Southern California girl is still like getting used to the seasons. So on this day, I was very excited because I was craving some meat, which is funny because I have not been able to eat like any meat in 2 weeks now. But at this point, I really wanted these ribs that we had in the freezer. So Dan pulled them out, seasoned them, and smoked them on the smoker. I feel like this is really obvious and kind of obnoxious that I keep changing microphones in this video, but I'm really sick, guys, and I'm just recording on a different mic right now. Anyways, here is a clip of when I harvested some of the tomatoes from our garden. Once again, we did not have a large harvest just in general from our garden this year, but everything we got was amazing, and I'm so grateful. And then this is really random, but I had to include this clip because I took a walk with Logan one day before, this was probably like 2 weeks before it started getting really cold, and I just had to include this. He took his little trains, quote unquote, all around the whole block, and it was adorable. And then this double rainbow, this actually showed up above my house looking back before I ever even knew I was pregnant. And I was pregnant at the time. I've mentioned this, I'm gonna share this story soon about how I found out, because looking back, it's really crazy, all the things that unfolded like that. So like I said, though, I'll share soon. I wanna be able to actually like be thinking straight when I tell you guys the story, but I also wanna tell it soon before I forget. I don't think I'm gonna forget, but you get my drift. Anyways, so as you guys know, if you saw my last video, I have been dealing with Hyperemesis gravidarum, which is basically just a really extreme version of morning sickness. And I'm not going to re-explain if you want to hear me talk about it. It's actually been kind of scary. You can watch my last video. But luckily, Brooke, who is now a friend of mine, she owns a mobile IV business. So she's actually been able to come to my house so that I haven't had to go to the hospital to get IVs. I am so grateful. Getting IVs has made a world of difference in terms of even my ability to keep food down and just feel better in general. Okay, so now complete subject change, but the seasons are changing. I mean, I have mentioned this in the video. The seasons are changing. We are in fall now. I guess they've changed, but I mean, the scenery is changing, and I'm watching all of our trees turn bright yellow and bright red, and it's so beautiful because I've said this before too, but prior to moving to Nashville, like we just didn't have this many trees where I lived in California. So I had not really been exposed to what fall could be. And living here, just like living in Nashville, has just been really cool to see different terrains and what it really looks like to have that season of autumn. It's so beautiful, and I love being able to take walks and watch all of the leaves blow off the trees. And on this day, it was really sunny and warm, clearly, but we had cooler days, so leaves have been falling off. Logan loves low-key playing in them, and it was just a beautiful day. So this video, part 2, I realized was kind of all over the map. I'm really grateful for you guys, for all of your love, for all of your support, for all of your prayers. It means more than you know. And I will, God willing, see you guys back here soon with another new video. All right, bye guys.